So where exactly do we stand after that equity town hall? My name is Kent, and this is your half-hour call.
Attention cast and crew, this is your half-hour call. Half hour to the top of the show. Half hour.
A few days ago, Actors Equity Association held a town hall for its members where it focused on sharing information about the reopening of theater in the denouement of the pandemic. And I figured we would debrief a little bit by sharing my top 5 takeaways from the town hall and everything that led up to it. But if this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Kent, and you are watching Half Hour Call, where we're shining the spotlight on technical theater. So if you want how-to videos, interviews with industry leaders, and insider theater updates like you're watching right now, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. But let's back up for a second and talk about exactly what this town hall was and where it came from. While the dissatisfaction with how Actors Equity Association communicates with its members has been festering for long before I became a member of it, I feel like this particular incident was kind of incited by this article that came out in early March from the Broadway Journal. The article focused on a couple of safety precautions that it felt were over the top or kind of excessive, and frankly, it mischaracterized a lot of those protocols, which in turn led a lot of equity members to also be frustrated with those same protocols. For example, the article suggested that this private transportation was this exorbitant expense that theater producers are not used to, because they were kind of implying that it would be a private car with a driver for every single performer. When in reality, if you read the protocols, the requirement would be satisfied with a passenger van and the assistant company manager, who's already in the quarantine bubble, driving them to and from the testing location. Additionally, the article claimed that theaters were required to provide private housing and individual hotel rooms for actors who don't live alone. What they neglected to include is that that protocol is only required if the theater is actively rehearsing intimate staging, fight choreography, or eating and drinking during the show. Ultimately, this article started a conversation that revealed a lot of unrest and dissatisfaction with how the union was handling the pandemic. And that article was sort of a catalyst for this group of dissatisfied members to start getting really, really vocal about their dissatisfaction, to the point where Tim Hughes, an ensemble member in Hadestown, wrote an open letter/petition to Actors Equity Association leadership about the problems that they were experiencing. It was passed around social media and signed about 2,100 times. However, there were definite incidents of people who did not sign the petition, whose names ended up on the petition, and several instances of people signing multiple times. I looked through it and someone's name was on there 6 different times. And this should not be taken as an attempt to invalidate the concerns and feelings of the people who legitimately did sign the letter. Just to let you know that if you see someone touting that 2,100 people signed this letter, to take that with a grain of salt, because none of it has been verified and it's frankly already wrong. But at the end of the day, the letters and emails from members were successful in getting a town hall that was scheduled for after the upcoming convention to being moved to before the convention, or last week. After attending the town hall and a Zoom debrief with fellow stage managers afterward, I wanted to share with you my top 5 takeaways from this entire situation and what it means for us moving forward. Number 5, I was surprised to learn that our union somehow got a 50% off coupon for our epidemiologist. I've talked about it a few times on this channel before, but if you didn't know, Equity hired Dr. David Michaels, who is an epidemiologist and workplace safety expert, to be their primary consultant for creating safe working conditions in a deadly pandemic. Dr. Michaels has been consulting with the Actors Equity Association for about a year, and what I didn't know is that he personally signs off on every single safety plan that gets approved for theaters across the country. So what I think we all imagined was that the key piece of this reopening puzzle, Dr. Michaels, would have come at a pretty steep price, but I was shocked to learn the union spent less than $20,000 on his consulting for the entire year. Number 4 is that our union is seriously huge and that solidarity with a group that size is very difficult. Equity is different than most national labor unions in that we don't have locals. We're managed as one giant local. A union local is like a chapter of the greater organization as a whole. And at the end of the day, the only thing that all 51,000 stage managers and actors have is that we are members of Actors Equity Association. That's the only thing that we all have in common. We live in different places, we work on different contracts, we have different priorities, we have different political beliefs, we have different moralities, we have different opinions on what it means to be a member of a union. The only thing that we all have in common is that we are a member of Actors Equity Association. And as such, people are going to be upset no matter what happens. In the chat, I think every single time anyone spoke or gave an answer in any direction, it blew up and people were mad in on both sides of it. And I think there's a disconnect that a lot of people have, and that I have frequently too, that just because we're all a member of the same union, we should all think the same and really embody that solidarity. And that's not necessarily why people are part of this union. And so I think we need to be extra careful that we don't get stuck in these like echo chambers where everyone agrees with each other, and instead need to actively be seeking out dissenting opinions when we're talking about anything related to the union. Number 3, I feel like a lot of people are either intentionally or unintentionally combining their criticisms of the safety protocols themselves with the application and administration of those safety protocols. And I think it's important that we separate the two. For example, my opinion is that I have zero problems with the actual safety protocols themselves. I think it should be hard to create theater in a pandemic because we're in a pandemic. I am very adamant that we should not be negotiating on safety protocols. We should be deferring to people who know more than us, because I'm not an expert and I'm a certified COVID compliance officer. However, I would 100% agree that Actors Equity Association could do a better job of being more efficient in implementing those safety protocols. We've all heard stories about theaters that haven't heard back for weeks or months or at all, and that's a problem and is completely unacceptable. However, the problem is with things like the letter/petition that was going around, people are combining the two and assuming that everyone who disagrees with one disagrees with the other, when that is not the case. Number 2, more communication. Always. And this is one part of the meeting that actually did rub me the wrong way. At one point, it was brought up that the union sent out 85 emails to all of the membership of the union over the course of the past year. That works out to about 7 emails a month, and I must say I don't feel like I get 7 emails a month. But then again, it's probably not 7 useful emails a month. I wonder what that number would look like if you took out the reminders to pay your dues, information about webinars that aren't relevant to everyone in the union, and other things that are just kind of not helpful. I also feel like a huge portion of that 85 email number came from the different disputes that we've had this year with Disney and with SAG-AFTRA. And I'm not saying I don't want all of those emails, I'm just saying that we need more than that. But the good news is that there is now an Equity Weekly newsletter that will be going out to all of membership for the first 3 weeks, and then you have to opt in to get it because of some email laws or something. But I think a lot of the problems and a lot of the frustrations are coming from this lack of information. For example, I still feel sometimes frustrated with the lack of communication, and I make a very concerted effort to stay in the loop. I talk to counselors about what's happening. I'll text people in other governance positions. I will go through a website. I literally log on to the equity website every day, and I still sometimes feel frustrated that I don't know what's going on. But I feel significantly less frustrated than I feel like a lot of people that don't go through that work or don't have time to go through that work feel. Which brings me to my point that some stage managers are pushing to have more of those town halls as kind of a proactive way to communicate and reach out to membership at large. We're requesting town halls be held monthly so that in conjunction with the weekly emails, there will be a significant amount of information provided to membership, and there will be a moment and a chance every month to ask questions and clarification in a more public setting. And my number 1 takeaway from that town hall is that we need a culture shift on the concept of the show must go on. This has been something that's been building up this entire pandemic and frankly is long overdue. The number of stage managers that have called the show while sick and the number of performers that you hear about running off stage, throwing up into a bucket, and then running right back on stage and finishing the show is frankly appalling. And while I don't think we need to get rid of the concept of the show must go on completely, I think it's time to turn it on to producers so that we tell them, hey, if you want the show to go on, you have to create conditions in which the show can go on. And that means coverage for performers in the form of understudies and swings. That means coverage for stage managers that can actually come in at a moment's notice. That means paid time off when you're sick so you don't come in and get the rest of the company sick. All of these things are going to be crucial in making sure that the show can go on. In this moment, even contracts that do require understudies are typically not enforced, especially in the regions. And that just creates pressure for the actor to perform no matter what, because since the producer has not done their duty to provide understudies, the performer is the one that feels the pressure of not having a show canceled. And that is wrong, and that needs to change. And there is something to be said for the good part of the show must go on, right? That we're all a team and we do whatever it takes to get the show on to a point. Like we all rally around an understudy that's going on for the first time, or we come in and have a put-in rehearsal at the last minute, or, reblock a dance so that you don't have a giant hole when you're doing a cut show. That kind of thing, I think, is good and makes theater exciting. But the bad part of the show must go on is that people will perform with a sprained ankle, or that they'll perform sick and get more people sick, or all kinds of things that put the actual worker at risk. And in the challenging times that we're in, it can be really helpful to step back and remember why we have unions in the first place. If you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. My name is Kent, and this has been your Half Hour Call.
Find the perfect gift for the stage manager in your life at the Half Hour Call store, now with free shipping on all domestic orders. New products added frequently. Visit KentJamesCollins.com/store to shop now.